Hey everybody, Studentsmith here going live. Happy Monday. Hey, don't let your day one be a week one. Keep crushing. All right. And don't let your day one be a one day. I'd like to do. Yeah, get it done today. That's what today is all about. If you want to get better next year, right, or 6 months from now, day one always matters. So day one matters, day two matters, day three matters. But if you don't get started with the right mindset, long term growth, it stops right here. So day one's very important. I love the saying, don't let your day one be a week one. Love that one. Spelt WEAK, obviously. But yeah, there's a nice little article here I wrote, and there's some Hell Week advice thrown in here as well. But this is for everybody. And what I mean by that is, when you have a big task in front of you that's going to take months, maybe even years to complete, you don't just jump right in and go nuts, right? You just one bite at a time. It's like one little bite at a time. It's like the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? And just slowly pick away at it. But you got to be consistent. And you build that consistency by getting started. Day one, day two, day three. Next thing you know, you built yourself a habit. That habit becomes your discipline. And even when you don't feel like it, you get stuff done. There you go. Yeah, there's this article right here that I want you guys to check out. Wrote it a couple years ago, but it's a really good one as far as just recalculating your whole process and what a plan looks like and what goal setting looks like. Here's a good one from uh, General Patton. Here's a good one for General Patton. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. Yeah, Christian, don't let your day one be your week one. Yeah, I guess I could see it that way. But I spell week as a weak one. Like it is weak. WEAK. Got to be strong. Go in strong, hit it hard. Um, yeah, and regarding Hell Week's the same way. It's like one meal at a time. You have 120 hours when this thing gets started. And every 6 hours, you get to eat. Sometimes for 45 minutes to an hour. Sitting down, kind of relaxing, falling asleep in your food, but still, you get to eat. And that is fuel for the next 6 hours. That is how this thing works. And make it to the next meal is probably the best advice you will ever get from anybody who's going through that type of training. Make it to the next meal. Um, but yeah, you also need fuel, water, electrolytes, and all that stuff. That's why that meal is very important. All right, folks. That's my little pep talk before we get started. I don't have anything else to share in that capacity, but I did see a question here. How much benefit from Joe says, how much benefit do you see in learning another swim stroke? I'm considering joining a master's swim and taking lessons, work on strokes just for added comfortability in the water. I think that's a great idea, especially if you need some water comfort. My advice would be to, if you're going to learn two strokes other than the CSS, learn freestyle for conditioning purposes and breaststroke for a proper kick that's going to be very helpful in you learning how to tread water using the egg beater, because the egg beater is nothing more than an alternating breaststroke kick. It is not you spinning your legs in a circle like an egg beater would spin. It's actually breaststroking going down. In fact, I wrote a really good article on that. In fact, it's my latest article up on Studentsmithfitness.com. You go hit Studentsmithfitness.com, click that articles link in the horizontal um, uh, navigation thing there, and you'll see the very top article is adding mobility to your treading practice. And it's very helpful. In fact, mobility is going to help you with your breaststroke kick as well. So, highly recommend it. Let's see. At a minimum, how much volume should guys be occurring weekly if they really want to up their swimming endurance? If guys want to double down on their swimming endurance, what do you advise? We usually keep it at 2 swim fins a fin swims a week. We just do those on leg days, and then the all the other days are swimming without fins. A variety of different skills also being thrown in there, such as treading and drown proofing and stuff like that. But we accumulate probably 10,000 yards a week. So if we swim 5 times a week, that's 2,000 a day. Not asking too much from you to do that. I think that's a really good standard. But once you get good at water in the water, you can reduce that and spend more time doing something else. Like, put it this way, if you're a competitive swimmer already, last thing you need is spending 10,000 meters in the pool. And you shouldn't do more than that just because you're a swimmer and can. You probably need to focus on something else, like getting in the gym and learning how to work out in gravity and running so you don't get shin splints. So everybody's a little bit different. What are your thoughts on calorie deficit as it relates to running and swimming performance? Can you see cardio gains while in a deficit? Yeah, you can. It's just hard. I mean, you might not last as long as um, someone who's in a surplus or maintaining weight, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with being able to uh, crush out a good run and swim workout. I mean, especially if you're going going aerobic, um, probably not going to burn a lot of your food and glycogen anyway. I mean, you'll burn some, but if you're sprinting, running fast, goal pace stuff, timed run events, timed swim events, you're going to burn some sugar and some glycogen, which is affected by the foods that you eat. So my advice would be to have a little something with you in case you do bonk and just got low blood sugar and starting to get dizzy and all that. Just have some Gatorade or something with sugar in it, just to so that won't happen during a workout. And then once that does happen, you just slow it down, try to be aerobic versus anaerobic, and see if you can get into that lower heart rate zone and still keep moving. It's going to be tough for a few minutes, but it'll transition over for you real quick. But you can also time your carbs that you have like before you work out. Like this morning, I knew we were going to be doing a lot of reps with calisthenics and then running like 5 miles with a bunch of 400s and 800s mixed in there. So I had a banana before I went out, and I had some uh, a sugar drink when I went out there as well as just a sweet tea that helped me not bonk. So it's all about energy. As long as you have the energy to train, you can still work on your performance. But if you're also doing like some zone 2 runs and not really putting out that hard, you can pull back on having that banana or little snack. How can you learn to float if you're negative in the water? That's a tough one. You don't really do that. You're going to have to probably kick somewhat to stay up to breathe. You just have to be relaxed about it. So, whenever, if we had somebody negative in the water, right, and we were doing our drown proofing with our hands behind our back and our feet together, um, what they recommended is you bend over at the waist. So now your lungs are, this is the surface of the water right here. Your lungs are now up against the surface of the water, and it creates a little bit of surface tension when you're up there, right? So get your back out of the water, and if you have to, throw a few kicks in there, little dolphin kicks to stay up. That's fine. And then what happens is you pop your head up to breathe. You'll sink back down. You'll couple kicks to get yourself back up there, and then just occasional little dolphin kick to stay up. And as long as you're swimming vertically, it's okay. But that is hard. I tell you, drown proof and being negative sucks. It's easy for Bob's, where there's some folks that might be neutral or positive that have to really exhale a lot of water to get down to the bottom. You won't have to, and it's going to make 4 of the 5 events very easy. Right. So the bobbing's going to be easy. The front flip would be easy. The back flip would be easy because you just use the bottom like a trampoline, and going down and getting your mask could be easy. So, if you look at, being negative is not necessarily a negative. um, but it does make floating hard. Everybody has a weakness. You just have to suck up that weakness. That's the way it works. The guys who are positive love floating, but guess what? They hated bobbing. They hated front flips. They hated swimming down, getting to their mask with, get it with their teeth. So it's the way it's made. Program is there for everybody to have a weakness. It's just how it's designed. When training for SF, should you train swimming, running for a couple of months, and then calisthenics and weights for a couple of months? I would mix all those up together. I mean, why? I'm not sure that question even makes sense. I mean, put it this way, I just got through running, I just got through doing calisthenics, and I just got through swimming all today between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Well, yeah, 8:30. So I was almost a little late. Um, so I'm not sure how that question could be phrased better because I'm not understanding it. I mean, you should do everything. You should be running. You should be rucking. You should be doing calisthenic cycles. And if you're weak, you need to be mixing in some weights, maybe less calisthenics and more weights for a cycle. Work on those elements of fitness. Moving near Annapolis this summer, you still doing Heroes of Tomorrow workouts? And if so, where can I look to sign up? How about heroesoftomorrow.org? As long as you are preparing to serve, you can join us. This isn't just for anybody who wants to come out and work out, but go to heroesoftomorrow.org. In fact, I'll even put it in here for you. Heroesoftomorrow.org. Been doing it for almost 25 years now. So if you ask, am I doing it still? Yes, just got done doing it. All right, Stu, this might be a dumb question, but of all the candidates you've trained, who impressed you the most in retrospect, and what should other candidates have to emulate from him going for prepping for SOF? Yeah, that's a great question. You know what? First of all, anybody who is preparing to serve in any capacity impresses me. So I have all types. I have guys that are already active duty trying to go Ranger and SF in the Army, trying to transfer over to Buds. I got high school kids that are wanting to serve in some capacity as well, military, police, fire. I got police officers preparing for SWAT teams. Um, had some FBI agents prepare for HRT. I mean, just, you name it. People have come here to train with us, and all of them have been equally impressive. Um, I would say right now, there's a couple that really strike a chord with me because we have a guy right now, and we had a guy several years ago who came from other countries, and they want to be American, and they wanted to serve in our armed forces. So one guy uh, came here and became an American, and I thought that was just so cool. He was in the military first, so you can join the U.S. military without being a citizen. You have to have a green card. So he got his green card, came to America, started training with us, went Army. Got another guy who is training to be a SEAL, but he's not even going to join the Navy until one, he's crushing all the scores, but he's also an American, which is going to happen in about 2 weeks. And this guy came from a little small country in Africa and has never worn a suit before. We all hooked him up, got him a suit, got him, he was able to, go do what he needed to do with his interviews and all the paperwork and did everything. And I will tell you right now, America is better because of these two guys being American. So I probably went in a different direction than you were asking. But when I think of all the people who come here to serve, those people who came here from other countries and they just wanted to be an American, and then they felt an obligation to serve in the military because they are an American. Um, and then go into their ceremony when they became American, everybody's in tears. I mean, it's just so awesome. And in fact, I'm gonna try to work it to where we're just getting a bus and going to go see this guy get sworn in to be an American. So that's that's who impresses me the most. But I will say on another level, that's my tier one. All right, my tier two level are the guys who actually move here from out of state, find a job. Some guys are living in their van. Some guys are trying to meet a girl so they can live with her. Be what do they call it? Hobosexual, I think they call it. And they pull it off somehow. And I don't know where they find some of these people, but they do. And they or they get a job and they find a place to work. They find, work out with us, and then they go on do great things. And so those guys are impressive too. The guys that just pack up their stuff and just move here. And I'm not an Airbnb. I don't own a hotel. They've had to find all their stuff. I just handle workouts a couple times a day, and they come join me, and the rest of their day is theirs to figure out. So, that shows a level of commitment that not a lot of people have. And I think you have to have that commitment, regardless of the job you want to serve. But if you're going to do a job that's really has a high attrition rate and is just tough, you need to bring a level of commitment that is different than everybody else. And those are obviously two examples. But that's a great question. Sorry I went off on a tangent there, but that's how serious I take what I do um, here. And it's a free program. I am giving back to these people and that want to serve. And it's just fun. I haven't had a workout by myself for over 25 years. And they're basically just my workouts. I invite people to come join, right? And they give me ideas to train. I figure if I'm going to write about training and come up with stuff like this, I need to be training people. I see what works, I put it in a book. That is so everybody wins. They get free training, I get test subjects, create programs. So All right. So, Alex, truly lucky to be able to watch your lives and podcasts. How's your progress so far with Get Mental app? I'm on day 5. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's something I want you guys to check out if you have time. I did a podcast with a SEAL Master Chief, Steve Drum, just got involved with this app called Mental. You can find it on the App Store, getmental.com. Actually, go to getmental.com. I'll type that in here. Getmental.com. There's like a 7-day free trial. I'm debating if I want to pull the trigger on a $40 a year purchase or not, but I am enjoying it. And I would say it is beneficial for just learning some breathing patterns when you're really cold, because they walk you through this shower progression of, just cold showers, or you could use baths if you wanted to. But then there's also some little goals it sets up in there, and it's real quick, for and you intent the intent of your goals are like established in this app, and you say, I'm be honest with you, I have like this common habit of snacking between 8 o'clock and 9:30. Doesn't have to be anything major. It could be a bowl of cereal after dinner. It could be, banana and a glass of milk that I really don't need. I'm not really hungry. I'm just eating. Right. So what are ways for me to do that? And it gives me suggestions on, like, instead of doing that, put on your shoes, walk outside, just walk around the yard. I mean, it was just very interesting ways to do it. And I tried it out and I was like, hey, you know what? Screw that. That works. I don't need that extra, 250 calories before I go to sleep. Right. But if you're, that's me who's just not trying to gain weight. Right. So my goals are a lot different than somebody who's young and trying to put on mass, and, you need to eat all you can. So it can be personalized for anything. So, I think it has some promise for folks that are just trying to get out of that rut. If you're already crushing stuff, you probably don't need it, to be honest with you. If you're already doing cold water baths and showers, you probably don't need it. But I will say this, for people that are just stuck in a rut and need some learn some tools that not only can help you manage stress better in the future, just gives you some tools to, get through your day, whether that is just, road rage and resorting to anger, or actually just stopping for a second, breathing through it, and realizing that there's really no threat here. You know, I can opt to get mad and pissed off and let it ruin my day, or just breathe through it and move on with my day and go where I need to go. So it has some uses for sure. Does the phase 2-3 have specific fin swim have fin specific swim? Absolutely. Every leg day. Every leg day we are swimming with fins. Or on the event, sometimes there might be a third swim with fins during the week when we do the Spec Ops Triathlon, which is a run ruck swim with fins. But yes, absolutely. That is a must. Thanks for all the advice. Not a problem. So, you guys got any more questions for me? I think I've hit them all. I did see a question here too. Somebody sent this morning. All right, let's see what this is. I've been following your programs for about 6 months. I'm finally closing in on ship date soon. Contract in SO. Recently took the SEAL HPT, Human Performance Test. You guys don't know what that is? Guess who answers what the HPT is in their latest revision of the Navy PST workout phase 1? I do. It's a 4-week little program in there. After taking it, the instructor said I'm ready to go physically, but I just want an objective opinion. Um, I swim the PST sub 9, 80 90 push ups, 80 90 sit ups, 20 pull ups. Not bad. I can swim 1,000 and 1620. That's great. if you can do 16:20, that means you're swimming under a yard per second because that is 980 seconds. Yeah. So swimming a yard per second, that's perfect. Also, don't have any problems rucking, can ruck 30, 45 pounds very comfortably. Good. For the HPT, the human performance test, there's a body weight bench press. Did 12 reps. Good. I recommend anything in the double digits, but higher double digits is even better. I can broad jump 6'3". I'm 5'10". You could be a little better on the broad jump. Practice some jumping. Usually try to get about a foot over your height if you can, is a good standard to hit. I hit 15 reps of 25 pull. That's good. 25-pound pull-ups for double digits. That's great. 15 is even better. Could deadlift 225, which is about 1.5 times my body weight. It's not bad. I mean, 1.5 is sufficient. Could be a little bit, 165. There's no reason why you can't hit 300. I'm not saying you need to get up that high, but it will add to some durability. And that's really what that test is measuring. It's measuring strength, it's measuring power with that jump. You still got to run and swim as well. Don't have any injuries going on. I feel really healthy. That's good. Not overtrained. That's even better. With those variables, do you think I'm ready to take on buds this fall? Absolutely. Yeah, you got plenty of time. If you go in the fall, I think that's great. And something I would strive to do if you can. And this is just me with my opinion about boot camp. Um, is to try to get done with your boot camp before Christmas, because Christmas is like in the Navy is like a block period of leave time. You get to go home, relax, have some fun, prepare for what's coming next in the new year. I mean, so there's a lot of unique things that occur. So boot camp's 12 weeks long, so 3 months. So if you go, let's say you go October, right? October 1st, October 1st, November 1st, December 1st. When are you out of there? So October, November, you got to go through all December and you get out January, that first week of January. That means you're going to be there for Christmas leave, which sucks. You don't go home when you're at boot camp for Christmas. That's just my opinion. I mean, I think if you just want to get it over with and not waste Christmas time, that I think everybody has a different preference over Christmas. Some don't even celebrate Christmas. I get it. Me personally, um, when they're giving you basket leave, which is just free leave, take it. You know, Even if you have to, charge it, because you don't even have leave built up yet, take it. Um, that's just my opinion. So my advice would be to either go earlier in the fall to where you are done by Christmas, or go after Christmas. Just my opinion. Let's see. Any other questions here? I've seen and read many dismissive comments toward older guys, late 20s, early 30s, prepping for SOF. Why? Provided they have been training extensively, how much limiting factor is it for NSW, SF, etc.? Well, I will tell you this. I personally like it when older guys go. I think the younger guys do themselves a disservice because most of them are not even physically finished growing yet, or two, mentally or emotionally prepared for that type of stress. They just haven't had enough life experiences to actually finish. Now, are there 18-year-olds that graduate every year? Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying it doesn't happen and it's not impossible. Just saying, if you look at the attrition rate at where most people come from, they are teenagers that do not make it through this type of training. Now, there's some older guys that don't make it through too. But pure numbers are the younger guys. And I'm just, when I speak about 18-year-olds have no business going to buds, that is a generalization concerning statistics of who quits or who fails out because of injury or some other reason. Now, I will say this, Army SF prefers them older because what's that Army SF mission? That FID mission, foreign internal defense, means you're going to go somewhere and be a teacher. You know, a babyface kid who can't even grow a beard yet going to a, you know, Afghan village where all the elders and young men have beards. Not saying that's a negative thing, it's just not a positive, right? So a lot of these guys need to be a little more mature and be able to bring that level of responsibility and respect to what they're doing with their job. So SOF guys like them older. But you got to remember, you know, just because you turn 18 doesn't mean you need to be joining the Navy and going SF or special ops or whatever job. You know, you don't have to join at 18. And when people email me and say, "Hey, I'm 22, am I too old?" I'm like, "What?" Just want to smack them because it's like, no, you're not. You're perfect. 22 is great. I mean, you have a window just in the SEALs alone. You have from 17 if you get your parents to sign. So let's just say 17 and a half, 18 years old, and you have all the way to 29 years old. That's not a tight window. That's a barn door that you can walk in, go join. Sometimes there's even age waivers. So I don't think there's much of a limiting factor. I had a buddy of mine graduated at 38 going through buds. So, and he spent 20 years in the Navy. Hey, Sue, I saw something online for 4 mile runs and buds being lowered now. Have you heard anything about this? Oh, I have not. And until I see it on the sealswick.com website, I am not going to believe it. But yeah, I don't see it. So have not heard that. But that's interesting. I'll keep an eye out, see if I hear anything. I got guys going through right now. Yeah, I will tell you this. If they're lowering the standard, there's a lot of people who barely pass the standard, even at 32 minutes in first phase, mainly because your legs are just toast. That's why I like to do in these workouts like this. I like to do a leg day followed by a 2 mile swim. And then the next day, you got a 4 mile timed run. How do your legs handle that 4 mile timed run after a leg day and a 2 mile ocean swim the day before? Have you recovered sufficiently? That's what the type of training that I try to do with all folks that are going through training programs that I know there are tests that they have to and hurdles that they have to get through each week. Besides being physically prepared for buds, when do you know you're ready mentally or maturity wise? That's a good question. There's a lot of, you know, physical is easy because you got some tangibles there. You got some intangibles when it comes to the other two. Like, though there are some, like, is your ASVAB good? Can you do math? Because you will have some dive physics and dive math that you have to do. It's basically algebra is about as far as it gets, but you have to understand some scientific equations, things like that when you're going through dive phase. There's also land nav and counting numbers and distances and speed time. So you got some more equations there that you have to understand. So there's a mentally slash academically issue. Um, Mentally can also be part of a discipline issue if you're having a hard time finishing workouts. Like if you can't do 6 workouts in 7 days in this, um, might want to see what's going on. Is it a scheduling issue, or is it actually you taking a day off in the middle of the week because you just didn't feel like working out? That's a mental issue. That is a discipline issue, motivation, whatever you want to call it. You're not creating the habits you need, and you're not being seriously enough. Another one is that goes on the maturity side. Are you going out partying and drinking all the time, ruining your recovery? You know, there was a time when I knew 6 months prior to Buds that I was taking my life seriously, and I wasn't out there hooting and hollering and drinking a lot and, ruining my weekend with, you know, staying out all night, getting hammered, not recovering from workouts and needing another 2 days to recover. Those are types of things that are just not helpful. So if you're doing things that are not helpful for you, maybe that is a maturity issue. Um, how your relationships also can be a maturity issue, you know, with whether that is with, girlfriends or family. If that is bringing you down, could be a maturity issue. Got to be able to block that shit out, move on. So, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of intangibles on that one, and it's hard to really nail down when some people are mentally and maturity wise ready. So, sorry I don't have a great answer for you on that one. What's your go-to snack at the end of the day? I would say banana and milk is what I personally like to do, and I just probably do it too much, right? But it's some days I need it. I can feel like not quite fully recovered from the day. I need a little more potassium or something, like not quite cramping, but you feel like muscles are tight. Maybe you need some potassium. I don't know. But I would definitely say that one is. I do like really spicy salsa, and I'll put that on just about anything. I can eat it with chips too. So, yeah, chips and salsa. Let's see. Have you had any exceptions with young SO candidates making it through the pipeline? When you say young, you mean teenagers making it through? Yeah, few. But I've also told a few they shouldn't go. And a few listened to me and a few didn't. And the guys who listened to me, they did well and have finished. And we're grateful to be 21 years old going through buds and actually having fun, when they were done. Um, the other guy, we had a 19-year-old left here at 18, was going through buds at 19. He made it. Um, but he was remarkable. He was kind of like a unicorn kid, just smart, um, hit all the numbers that he needed to hit, was a great swimmer, had an athletic background of, I think he played, I think he was a wrestler and played lacrosse. Just tough. I mean, he was just tough, wiry kid. Hadn't finished growing yet, but he was tough enough to withstand it. You know, Graduated 20 years old as a SEAL. But yeah, it has happened. And I actually recommended him to go. Like, there are not many teenagers I will recommend to go. I just had one the other day that asked me, "Do you think I'm ready to go as a teen?" I said, "Absolutely." I do not say this to many people, but this one kid is just an absolute stud. Wrestler background, can swim like a fish, runs, does all the reps, does extra credit, you know, gets under a log, doesn't cry. Yeah, he's tough, tough kid. And he's probably, he's a shorter kid, so he's probably, and I met his parents, so his parents are pretty short, so probably not going to grow much more. I mean, he might grow a little, but he's probably near finished growing. So that's a big one. If you're still not growing yet, finished growing, that has some physical challenges for people. I mean, your bones are still soft. You're susceptible to shin splints and stress fractures. Ligaments and tendons are getting stretched out because you're still growing every month. So everybody has strengths and weaknesses they bring to the table. Typically, the teenager just, if you line all the strengths and weaknesses up, they just have more weaknesses than someone who's a little bit older. That's all. That's the way you got to look at it. Don't look at it as age being a weakness, because I don't. I look at it as strengths and weaknesses lined up from athletic histories and capabilities, what's their scores, all of that, and try to determine their strengths and weaknesses. And if their strengths outweigh their weaknesses and they can mentally gut check through the weakness, that's good. What do you think? What do you think is a good ruck weight and distance goal for Army SF candidate? That's a good question. Most of my Army SF guys go a little heavier than my Navy guys. We usually go 40 to 50 pounds on our rucks and go a little faster. Our Army guys are usually minimum 60, sometimes 75. A little bit slower, but they ruck it, man. They carry a lot more weight typically. Um, so I would definitely progress up to that level um, of weight and distance, just like you would progress logically with running. You definitely want to progress steady, incrementally with your rucking weight, maybe adding 5 pounds every month or something like that till you build up. Add the distance similarly. Um, Try that out. Just chiming in on the age thing, as an older guy myself, I found it hilarious how people in their 20s and 30s think they're old. Yeah, no kidding, man. I was the same way at the time, but boy, was I wrong. Absolutely, man. Somebody told me, "Yeah, I'm 40." I said, "Shit, man, I wish I was 40." 54. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good one. I tell you what, I was probably in some of my best shape between 25 and 35, minus some injuries. Um, I could have done buds after 25, definitely, because I was so much faster, so much stronger, um, tougher. Yeah, I mean, you name it. Um, was definitely a much better all-round athlete between 25 and 30, definitely. But I still had my cardio going all the way as up to like mid 30s, like fast cardio, like 6 minute mile stuff, 730, 500s, things like that. I can't do a reverse push up for a mobility issues. Any good stretching? Yeah, just chest stretches. So like grab a wall, stretch into it like that, because what's preventing you is two things. One, the upper back muscles. So you're probably going to want to do some rows to work the upper back muscles, but then you also need to stretch the front, which your chest and front delts are probably holding you back from being able to do that. So strengthen the upper back with like reverse flies or rows, and then stretch the front to open up that chest a little bit. Oh, let's see. Fondest memories from your time in the teams. You know what? I really enjoyed most of my team life. I mean, you're gone a lot, but you're gone pretty much having a lot of fun doing really cool things. Whether it's training or you're actually deploying. Um, you definitely, when you're gone, you're working and it's fun, but you're also playing a little bit too with the guys, and that's always fun. The camaraderie was probably, I'd say, is what you miss the most. And fondest memories are definitely just sitting around talking and making each other laugh, because that's really, it's what you do. and it's fun. There's some funny people over there. Crazy sense of humors. So, yeah. Have you had any suggestions on how to harden your feet before selection? Yeah, that's a tough one, man. A lot of people like walking around barefoot, um, walking around on concrete. Um, that's a tough one. I'm always afraid of stepping on something, getting cut when I walk around barefoot. But if you just wear those boots that you're going to be wearing when you're going through selection and just get them like fitting like a glove, you might be able to get by on less than super hard feet. Something I always did is I wore a very thin sock underneath my thicker wool sock. That way it was more like a really thin nylon polyester blend of sock that almost like pantyhose looking. I mean, it was thicker than that, but um, it just added another layer of skin to my feet. And then inside the sock that got wet and sandy and all that stuff, the thicker wool sock, my foot and skin wasn't rubbing against the spot and getting hot and starting to fall apart. It was actually being protected by that little thinner dress sock. And they were issued socks. I mean, I just got them straight from the PX or the exchange, um, that I would wear with my dress uniform. But they had to be a polyester rayon nylon blend. They couldn't have any cotton in them or wool. Nothing thick, very thin. Like I said, it should feel like a pantyhose that's on there. That was very helpful. What is target ruck time for buds? You know what? They do ruck pretty fast. Um, Depending on the event, you definitely want to be in that 10 to 12 minute mile range. There will be some people that are a little faster and you got to hang with them, but um, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing, land nav, it's probably closer to like that 15-minute mile pace, standard pace. But if you're rucking out, moving fast, and got to keep up with the instructor, that instructor is going to be moving 10-minute miles most likely, and you got to stay with them. So, what are the best exercises for abdominal and stomach fat? Ooh, not really an exercise for fat. The muscles underneath, different story. Like I like planks, I like hanging knee ups, um, farmer carries, lifting weights. All of those are going to work your core muscles, and you got to think of the core as a system. You don't just want to focus on stomach muscles because that's going to neglect your back. It's going to neglect your side. It's going to neglect your upper back. Right. So think of the core as a system that goes everywhere from your neck down to your hips and work it all. Planking is probably one of the best ways to do it. Plank on your belly, plank on your side, other side, on your back. I mean, all of those are great ways to do it. Hanging, doing knee ups, flutter kicks, all of those things are going to work upper, lower, full body, full core activity. Then you got to watch your calories to burn that fat. Um, Whether that is, getting in that caloric deficit like we talked earlier, but you can get your caloric deficit two different ways. You can do more activity, so you're burning more calories than you're consuming, or you can eat less calories. And at the end of the day, you have actually not consumed enough calories to gain weight. And you're going to burn some of that fat off just because you haven't consumed that many calories or you worked off that many other calories. Does that make sense? There's an article I wrote a while back ago, 500 calories. Um, 500 calories. I can't remember what it's called. 500 calories. Studentsmith, save your life. I think it was something like that. Um, it's on military.com. Oh, the 1,000 calories can kill us and save us. So it's kind of an awkward article, but it explains it to where my recommendation, if you want 1,000 calorie deficit, try to reduce your caloric intake by 500 calories. So let's say you eat 2,500 calories, you drop it down to 2,000. Then you try to do 500 calories of workout. It can be anything. It can be walking, it can be running, it could be weightlifting, whatever. So now you've created this 1,000 calorie deficit that you can move towards the day, and that is significant. You can lose significant amount of weight at the end of the week. Usually that's, going to be a couple pounds for you if you can do that. But yeah, check out that article. It's a pretty good one. Never played sports before, but I'm athletic for the most part. Where can I start to build some grit, never quit mentality? You know what? I like early morning workouts to build grit and a never quit mentality, because there's nothing in your day like getting up out of bed when you're probably the most comfortable and you're still asleep, you're half awake, and you're just like, oh man, I gotta go put on my sweatshirt and go run. Um, Man, I'm really comfortable. I got like 5 more minutes. Maybe I just take 5 more minutes. So you're doing this battle with yourself whenever you are early in the morning going to go train. That is a great way to build some grit. I'm telling you, it works awesome. And then, while you're out there and you're feeling sorry for yourself because like this sucks, it's cold, it's winter. We spent all winter outside and that wasn't fun, but we did it. And there's a great little thing that I use. In fact, I started off one of these live Q&As with it, and it's a great mental, um just attitude change. And what I mean by that is, I actually said to myself, I don't have to be here right now. There's nothing making me do this right now. I can schedule this workout at 10 in the morning if I wanted to, but I'm here at 6 because it's hard. And instead of me thinking I have to be here to do this, I get to do this, right? I get to work out at 6 a.m. because there are people who are injured or sick or incapacitated in some way that cannot go work out at 6 a.m. And that's really one of the things they just want to do. They just want to get well, they just want to get better. But that's not you. You get to go do this right now. And I think that, attitude shift goes a long ways when you're battling those little demons inside your head of like saying, I just want to sleep in today. Um, so that's how I do it. Couple more questions and I got to bail, but tomorrow I'll be back. I got some good videos for you to share with the CSS critique show tomorrow at 9 a.m. Guys should definitely check that out, or check out some of the previous ones. They always end with a live Q&A as well, so happy to take your questions as well tomorrow. Brochacho says, although Buds will eventually give tactical training, what prerequisites would you recommend we arrive at Buds with? AR, handgun capabilities, trap skeet, time drills. I get that question a lot. Usually people throw in scuba diving as well. I don't think you need to do trap skeet, but any gun familiarization is fine. I was hunting and fishing growing up, when I was a kid, so I knew how to shoot guns. But these were all new guns that I'd never shot before whenever you got trained there. So, I it was still a learning curve, but I wasn't shocked whenever I pulled the trigger. Like some people, it's something you got to get used to. Um, so I don't necessarily recommend you need to learn how to shoot, an AR or whatever they're using now, M4s, um, or pistols, Glocks. I think it's Glock they're using now. Maybe SIGs. Can't remember who got the contract, but Um, it's not a bad idea. I would personally take a scuba class if you're wondering like what you should take. Just because I think it is beneficial to have had a regulator in your mouth and breathing underwater before you get one and a buds instructor is yelling at you, teaching you how to do scuba diving. It's just a different stress level altogether. And going into that, having already had some level of comfort under that is very helpful. You're going to learn how to clear your mask, which is a very good skill. You're going to learn some other things too. Did I enjoy my time as a buds instructor? I was never a buds instructor. At Buds, I came back to the Naval Academy and was like a pre-Buds instructor for those guys. So, um, but I enjoyed it tremendously. So, and in fact, I still kind of do that here locally and at the academy, um, in some capacity, just training people for a variety of spec ops jobs, which is fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy it so much that I donate a lot of my time doing it. So it's fun. All right. Well, I got almost an hour here. I do need to bail. You guys check out StuSmithFitness.com. Updated Navy SEAL programs if you're interested in those. There's some good ones. We discussed that human performance test that, some people are being given throughout somewhere in their pipeline. Um, you might want to check out that phase one because it focuses on the PST, but there's also a 4 week uh, human performance test weightlifting section in there as well. Kind of the same way for the Air Force. The Air Force one, um, it has the IFT and the OFT in there. It's almost the same model. So this, what I did with the phase one of the Navy SEAL program was made it a 12-week PST prep program, and it's not just for Navy SEAL. It's SEAL, SWIC, EOD, diver, rescue swimmer, SARC is now being required to take that PST, and it's just for anybody in the Navy that's got to take that Navy PST. And there's other branches that are having to do it too, mostly dive related, have to take that fitness test. But there are some groups that have to take that human performance test too, and that can be shocking if you're not used to doing deadlifts or body weight bench press or weighted pull ups. So, in shuttle runs and explosive jumps, stuff like that. So, it's a good test. It's a good way to get a little bit better at other elements of fitness that normal PSTs neglect. That's why I always talk about to and through the training. If you're focusing on getting to the training, you got to crush that PST. And it's really only calisthenics, cardio, muscle stamina, endurance is the only thing you got to focus on. But to get through the training, you're going to need some durability that requires strength and some uh, power, and just overall, not getting crushed when you're, doing load bearing activities. So that's a completely different animal. And if you're just focusing on PST, endurance, and stamina, um, unless you have a lifelong background of strength training, you may not be durable enough to handle logs and boats and fireman carries and rucks, depending on what spec ops program you're getting into. So that's why we talk about all the elements of fitness in these preparations, and you got to do that. So, all right, folks, that's it. I got to go. Got stuff to do. I will be back tomorrow, 9 o'clock, and we'll do a little swim critique show along with some follow on questions. Guys, check out StuSmithFitness.com. Until next time, I'll see you later.